the story of Abraham, oh, it would be so much better. I'm telling you, it'd be a much better story. First of all, his name wouldn't even been Abraham, or his first name, Abram. Because you know what Abram means? Abram means exalted father. This dude got no kids, called exalted father. I wouldn't even give him that name. It would have been Fred or something else. I would not embarrass this dude to be like, hi, I'm exalted father. Really? How many kids? Oh, none yet. We're just still believing the Lord. He goes from exalted father to Abraham, which means father of a multitude. Still no kids, and he's a senior citizen. Dude, you don't think God, you're just playing games with people? What is going on? If I was writing a story, it would have been different. As soon as he would have trusted me to go, if I'm God, oh, at the third step, Sarah would have had triplets, just pregnant. God doesn't work like that. He gets the word from God, the promise at 75. It's not until he's 100 years old that it comes to pass. 25 years. 25 years. That's a long time to keep your hopes up. And I felt like I was supposed to preach this because I feel like somebody is in the in-between process between the promise that God gave you and the promise manifested in your life. And it seems like your hope is starting to dwindle. And God told me to tell you, get your hopes up. Get your hopes up. Every single person that God has called by faith has always had to go through the season of waiting. Waiting for that thing to come to pass. From the moment that he told you to the moment he's going to show you, you have to wait. And the challenge for you and the challenge for me is to not try to help God bring his promise to pass. Should I go there? All right, you gave me the message. I guess I should. Do you remember how Abraham and Sarah said, let me help God bring this promise to pass? I actually have issues with the Apostle Paul. When I get to heaven, I want to talk to him. Because Paul, how are you going to say in Romans chapter 4 that he never wavered in his faith, that he was unbelieving? That is a whole lot of grace, because I read the whole story in Genesis, around about chapter 12. Keep reading that thing. It's crazy the stuff that happened all in between them waiting for the promise. They both laughed out loud when God told them it was going to come to pass. And what you mean they never weakened in their faith? Do you remember all that baby mama drama that happened with Abraham and the little side chick, Hagar? Do you remember that? Because they do what you and I do. They started rationalizing. Well, God, we've been waiting a long time, so maybe you meant that it wasn't going to be Sarah's womb, but it was going to be somebody else's womb. So Sarah's like, why don't you go in there with her and we can help the promise of God? And he's like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, baby, I ain't going to get mad. Go ahead. And he goes. And we got a whole situation from somebody trying to help the promise of God come to pass. Remember what the baby's name was? Ishmael. Ishmael. I wonder if they called him Ish. Because anytime you start trying to help the promise of God come to pass, you're going to deal with some ish in your life, because some of y'all in church with your ish, because God told you to wait for the one that you knew God had called you to. But you're like, well, God, he kind of loved you. He prayed before one meal. And you know he's not the one. You know he's not the one that's going to protect your family. You know he's not the one that's going to be a man of God. You know she ain't the one. You met her in the club. How's she going to be the one that God has? Here you are, rationalizing. Well, maybe you say you can change anybody. They got a good heart, really? Here you are with a broken heart, crying, dealing with your ish. Because anytime you try to help the promise of God, it will become a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, there is still conflict in our world right now because of this decision. God says, wait for the promise of Isaac. Came to tell somebody, get your hopes up. Just because you've been waiting does not mean the promise is not going to come to pass. Get your hope up. Abraham, against all hope, in hope, believed in God. Why do I need hope? Because if you don't have hope, you can't have faith. Faith and hope are connected. For faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So if I was the enemy, I actually wouldn't attack your faith. I'll attack your hope. Because if you're not hoping for anything, you won't need faith for anything. So if I was the enemy, if I was the enemy, I wouldn't try to attack your faith. I'd kill your hope. I'd make you think that because the promise hasn't come to pass on your time schedule, it's not going to come to pass. I would be in your mind every single morning, making you wake up, not saying, God, thank you for what I do have, and thank you for what you have done. I would make you wake up every morning and find the bad in every situation. I would make you lower your expectation to your experience and tell you that nothing is ever going to get better. I would make you worry and complain to the point that when things go bad, because you have no hope, you'll go, see, I knew it. I knew it. Nothing ever goes right. And then when things are going good, you won't hold on to it because you're like, oh, we'll see how long this lasts. This is the cry of the hopeless. The cry of the hopeless is, I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was too good to be true. The enemy is after your hope, because if he can get your hope, he can get your faith. But God told me to tell you, you need to remind yourself of the promise of God, that if God said it, it will come to pass. And guess what? It's not going to be your work. It's not going to be your effort. It's your dependence on him that will make the promise come to pass. So instead of rehearsing all the things that could go wrong and all the things that went bad, how about you start rehearsing the word of God? How about you start rehearsing the promise of God? How about you get up every single day and say, this is going to be my last day to work?